I received a message from a friend and it has a lot of questions on it. So instead of taking all the time to write down all the answers to one person, I figured it's better if I make a video about it because it's a lot easier to do a lot of talking than it is a lot of writing, and then more people will benefit from it. So the message goes like this. I read your book, Zanzong Power Secrets. It's simple but yet so powerful. I wonder why Mahavatar Babaji didn't share high-level stuff like this when he materialized to Yogananda. He did similar things back over 1,800 years ago before he became an avatar. I also love your video of your teacher, Fukion, doing level 8. I do it every night and it feels amazing. How did you realize that Fukion became an ascended master? Is he a spirit dragon now? One of your students became enlightened after 7 months of training, you said. How did you realize his enlightenment? What changed? Is the enlightenment experience related to the expansion of the nervous system? Did his third eye open? How is Buddha's enlightenment compared to your 7-month of training student? Do you apply curcumin to your student's forehead to decalcify their third eye? How did they talk to spirits? Thank you. I appreciate your wisdom and honesty. Okay, lots of questions there. First question is, I read your book, Zanzang Power Secrets. It's simple, but yet so effective. I wonder why Mahavatar Babaji didn't share high-level stuff like this when he materialized to Yogananda. Okay, well, what Babaji shared was for the masses. In other words, most people don't like the kind of practices that it takes to become enlightened. They're not really interested in enlightenment. And so it requires normally, in person-to-person relationships, requires a close relationship where you can guide the student to do the right things. Basically, it's just for the masses. It's for everybody to get a little healthier, a little bit more spiritually evolved, but not to go to the mountaintop. He would save that for special people. Okay. How did you realize that Fukion became an ascended master? Is he a spirit dragon now? Mr. Young had a dragon spirit in him when he was alive, and possibly in previous lives this dragon spirit stayed with him and he incarnated with it. But this time it's a little bit different. I had a very able channeler come to my house up in the mountains in Yangana in Ecuador, and I asked her if she could contact Mr. Young, and she worked at it a bit, and then she said Mr. Young's vibration is too high and he can no longer communicate with this level. And that is a sign of an avatar. That's a sign of an immortal that is more advanced than a god. Because gods are still involved with the earth and with humans, and when a person becomes so advanced and so enlightened that they basically don't really care anymore. They're what you call closer to the light. They're feeling the bliss of the eternal light. And basically they just evaporate into nothingness and they're part of the light. So I don't think he is a spirit dragon now. Let's see. One of your students became enlightened after 7 months. How did you realize his enlightenment? What changed? Um, is the enlightenment experience related to the expansion of the nervous system? Did his third eye open? Okay, well, I realized what happened to him not right away, because at first he contacted me and he was actually kind of scared. He was having some serious health problems that just sprang up suddenly like that. And he had a feeling it was due to the Qigong, but he just was feeling really bad, having physical problems, and it scared him a lot. And then later he said, after that happened, everything became blissful and quiet, and he stopped thinking. And so I realized by what he said that it was an enlightenment experience. Now, there's different kinds of enlightenment experiences. There's what you could say is the Hindu kind, and there's the Taoist kind. Okay, in the Hindu kind, they get the energy to go up the back to the head, kind of all of a sudden. And many people who experience that report all kinds of scary physical problems that are transient. Like it feels really bad for a while, and then it goes on to another one that feels really bad for a while. This is as your energy goes up to your head, you get certain healings. And now in the Taoist system, they do the healing first. And they also get the energy going up and down. So it's not just all of a sudden one time. The energy is always going up and down. And so it's a much milder thing. Since ideally the student is already healed, they don't experience these scary healing experiences where the reason the healing experience feels bad is because it's like a healing crisis. You know, when the sick energy comes out, you feel it. And so the Taoist type of enlightenment is much smoother. So the thing is, I can say that having an enlightenment experience after only 7 months is a little bit too quick. It's wasn't really he wasn't really ready for it, and so he had the more violent type of Hindu type of enlightenment. But the end result, the bliss and the stopping of thinking and the seeing of spirits are normal. Let's see. So is this related to an expansion of the nervous system? No, I wouldn't say the nervous system is expanding, but it does something really interesting to your mind because it's kind of like a drug, you know? It's like your thinking stops and you feel bliss. You feel kind of like unconditional love. When your thinking stops, your sense of self goes away. It's like your ego, and a lot of people say your ego goes away. But then after a day or three, the enlightenment experience wears off, and then there's like a big crash, and that's when you have to face the music. So it's a lot like a drug. It's kind of amazing that humans have this drug-like ability built into their system, just waiting to happen. I have no idea how that works. Now, did his third eye open? Well, yeah, he started to see spirits, and that was another thing that was a little bit disconcerting, but by that time he was in a good place, and he realized everything was all right. And so the seeing of spirits was not really a big deal, but that's faded away. People manifest different things with enlightenment. Some of them see spirits, some of them can hear spirits. There's different abilities that come from enlightenment. So now you say, how is Buddha's enlightenment compared to the student? Okay, well, Buddha, see, after you have an enlightenment experience, you begin to acquire wisdom. And so in the beginning, when you first have your enlightenment experience and it wears off, you don't have that wisdom. You have lots of questions and you have a lot of stuff to sort through. So it's a big learning experience. It's like the enlightenment experience starts the alchemical process, which takes you much further along a spiritual path. If you don't have the enlightenment experience, you can't take that path. It's just it would just be a bunch of thinking. But what happens after enlightenment is it becomes realizations. In other words, something switches, and you're able more to recognize truth, particularly what you might call philosophical truth. So anyway, Buddha had his enlightenment experience, then he had decades to accumulate wisdom. And I wouldn't necessarily say myself, I wouldn't say that wisdom is enlightenment. Okay, it's just knowledge. And the enlightenment experience itself, when thinking stops, there is knowledge, but you don't think about it. So you can't cultivate these sayings or theories or wisdoms. I mean, if somebody asks you a question during an enlightenment experience, you could probably answer it with wisdom. I don't know. Usually people don't tell others when they're having an enlightenment experience. Do you apply curcum into your student's forehead to decalcify their third eye? No, this was an online student. So not an in-person student. I live so far out in the boonies that students don't go there, except for maybe a week or 10 days or something. And it takes a real serious student like this guy we're talking about. He was practicing 3 hours a day with this, the moving qigong and the meditations. You say, how do they talk to spirits? Well, he doesn't talk to spirits. I have. And you just focus on whatever spirit. I haven't done it very much, but you just focus on, like once I focused on Babaji, and I asked him a question. I asked him for a favor to help somebody, and the answer came back right away. And I didn't expect an answer. So that was a real shock. Like, wow, there's really invisible people out there that can talk to you. And it really does sound, it's like somebody's talking in your ear. It's not like this little voice inside your head, which is your own ego talking. So I hope that answers the questions. Thank you, and I appreciate your wisdom and honesty. Okay, so yeah, hope that helps. Have a nice day.